are on the air. But really thrilled to celebrate AOTM's Ephemeral Visions drop that just kicked off today. Some amazing auctions underway from all of these artists that are currently up here, and also a number of different artists that are participating as well. So shouts out to everybody that's participated. Listen, we got a ridiculous group today. Join us on YouTube. You can grab that from the pinned tweet above. You'll see that in the link in the comments. And up here, we got Brian Brinkman at the top center, killing it. Has shown his auction pieces with Sotheby's, Christie's, and a number of major auction houses and shows all over the world. We also got Harry Pack, a British multimedia artist with an exceptional piece in this AOTM drop, as well as Pia and Molly McCutcheon, two also amazing artists as well. So really thrilled to just chop it up with everybody that's up here. But big day today, guys. How are we feeling? I know it's probably been a lot of stress. How's it feel to finally be at like the kickoff day?
Feels good.
It's nerve-wracking. You kidding me? How good. I love it though. I love it. But I've been very stressful. Should I start, by the way? I take my
time. Go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Great. Today was my first month after some couple months. I just take some time off to mint anything for some time. Taking some advantage of market being a bit slow and everything. Today for the first time, I think I'm echoing.
Mic check. Are we good? I feel like we're good.
Okay, great. So today was all of these feelings just came back to me. That excitement, I just realized I really missed it so much. But there's two aspects of it, the good and the bad part, which is my nervousness. Every time I'm how is it going? I just find myself to just refresh the page, just be online maybe a little bit too much. That is unhealthy. But other than that, I'm great. I'm very happy and honored to be taking place. But yeah.
I could imagine it's tough. So as somebody who's not an artist, and I don't think I've ever auctioned anything of my own off in my life, I could have that feeling. Do you guys feel like you have to resist that feeling to keep checking to see oh, is there another bid on my piece?
Yeah, for
Sometimes.
sure.
Yeah.
With this drop, we get emails, which I don't think I've ever gotten with something like this, which is kind of nice. So now I'm just I'll wait till there's an email and then I'll look.
Is that the manifold email? You guys are getting that too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
I need to check.
I'm used to always having to check and not knowing, but now it's I can kind of sit back and just wait for an email to roll in.
I want to go around. Hey, I just love your perspective on it, Brian, as you sip your drink. And on the sipping the drink, join us on the YouTube live stream so you can catch us on video. And if you could please reshare the pin tweet, would appreciate it as well. But and now Harry's drinking too. I love this. But nonetheless, how often do you guys feel like you go back if you weren't getting the emails? Is it once an hour? Is it once every 10 minutes? What's that feeling? We'll kick that over to Harry first. How often do you normally go check back on?
I'm in the same park as Brian. Actually, I've been working really hard today on setting up a physical show, so I haven't been able to look too frequently. And it's 11 o'clock here now, so I'm going to have to just hope that when I wake up in the morning, got a few more bids. But I'm excited, and it's nice to be in a show this big. It's kind of a different type of excitement. Just being alongside the artists that we've got in the group. So yeah, it's kind of new.
Yeah. Wait, what did you say?
It's yeah. I will look as soon as I wake up in the morning.
Yeah. I hear that. Excited for the physical show too, man. That's a big week for you. What are we looking forward to with the physical show?
We've got a lot planned. The event's called Magic Carpet. A group of us got together last year and put an exhibition on in a tree house, and it was generally psychedelic art, some visionary stuff, some dreamlike stuff too, and we all just got on really well and decided we'd sort of tour around and stick together and put little events on all over the country. And
Also, wait, quickly, I hear a slight echo. I think if anybody has their audio on the Twitter space, like coming out of their phone, if you could please shut that off, that would be helpful.
I think that's mine, but
No
I
worries.
can hear that.
But here, you were saying?
Yeah, so we've decided to sort of take it a bit further this year, and we've found a gallery in my hometown called Frome, and we've made it kind of a bit more diverse. So we've got the art up in the gallery, but we're bringing in different events throughout the week. So we've got opening night tomorrow, followed by a night of psychedelic therapy. Really, we've got a tree meditation followed by an integration circle. Where it'll be a lot more interactive with the people that come along. The third night, we've got music. So my girlfriend will be performing her psychedelic folk music alongside someone called Carrie Tree, who's big on the festival circuit over here.
And wait, we have to. Can we share your girlfriend's name too, because she's on Spotify?
Yeah, absolutely. She'd love that. She's called Lana Jagger. So Lana, and then Jagger, like Mick Jagger. And her music's it's shamanic, but it's psychedelic folk, and it's all channeled. She brings it through from the other realms, and there's so many ways of describing it. She busks a lot in London, and she uses it as it's medicine music. So you get a lot of people in their suits walking through London, kind of closed off to the beauty of the world, and she illuminates their minds with her music. And it's meant to wake people up, and it's just beautiful multi-layered music that's inspired by so many things. And we actually met on the final day of the festival, where I met the other artist who I'm exhibiting with, and she was sitting in front of my artwork, and we found out we both experienced psychosis at the same time, but got well differently. And her music is very sort of, there are lots of similarities between the way she makes her music and the way I make my art. So we had this sort of natural, excitement about the things that we were talking about, and we've been collaborating on a number of things.
Oh, I think we lost Harry for a second. He's reconnecting. But yeah, definitely check out Lana Jagger on Spotify. We were playing the first song on her Spotify before, and it is called I Am Wild Woman. And was loving the strings on that. Was reminding me a little bit of House of the Rising Sun. But we just got Harry back. Harry, we got you back now.
Yeah, man. Sorry, got cut off.
No worries. But yeah,
So,
I was plugging Lana again. I was telling everybody to listen to the Wild Woman song. I Am Wild Woman.
Her latest song is called Duality, and it's kind of a poem and a song together. But that's the latest drop, and it's only a couple of weeks out. So yeah, check that one out too. It's pretty amazing.
Gotcha, for sure. And once again, if anybody has their audio coming from their phone on the Twitter space, if we could please shut that off. But nonetheless, yeah, definitely excited for that. I think your show is going to be awesome, man. So definitely keep us posted on how that goes. But want to talk about your guys' pieces. You guys have some ridiculous pieces all around. It's also cool to see who's bidding on them. I was looking at your auction before, Pia, and I saw friends of ours who have done previous live streams. For example, Will Eternal Pepe, Eddie Wharton. I think Dave was a previous bidder as well. So it's cool to see some familiar names. I know there was somebody else. There was you guys are bidding on each other's pieces. I was taking note of that too. So kind of wanted you guys to go once around and just talk about each piece. We got Brian here at the top with Cycle. Do you want to walk us through the piece, Brian?
Sure. Are you able to pull them up on the stream?
Yeah.
That might be handy.
I'll share screen and then I'll pin them in the Twitter space as well.
Yeah. So this piece, I kind of went back to what I was doing in 2020, which was kind of creating these little vignette worlds around my take on the space. And so back then it would be talking about how gas worked in the space or how we were connecting with each other, all these things. So this one, I kind of, now that we've been through the cycle, I joined the space at kind of the bottom of this ramp, and we watched it rise, and then it's crashed again. And so this piece is kind of continuing that theme, and it's my diary entry on how I feel about the cycles of the space and how whether it's the projects that are stuck on, I'm using this nostalgic toy. Growing up, we might have had it where these penguins kind of right around the tracks. Using that as a way to kind of show how we rise and fall in the space. We're always kind of reaching for the moon, and no matter what, the moon never lasts long. And you kind of ride back to the bottom, and you have to start again. Hopefully, you're making some, selling some at the top and all this other stuff. But yeah, and then that cycle, that kind of trajectory, it's built on stuff like WAGMI and HODL and social media and LFG and all these things that kind of represent this like feeling of euphoria, and that all compounds and is what creates the system that kind of drives us up, and then crashes back down, and then we repeat the cycle again. And I mean, it's based on this kind of market cycle chart that Wall Street uses for years. I'm sure you've seen it on the timeline where there's like the depression, the anxiety, the euphoria, and all these other things. And so this was my way of kind of showing that chart in a more fun, playful way, but still talking about the fact that unfortunately in this space, what goes up also comes down. But when it comes to this crypto cycle, it repeats itself.
Hell yeah, man. I want to hear everybody else's like takes on this too, but like I don't even think it's unfortunate that what goes up comes down. I feel like it's healthy, to be honest. I really like, and like we've talked about this on like a previous live stream, but I really like at least the people that are, I feel like in New York right now that are very, very active in the community seem to be very, very committed. And I think it's nice to just have like that really tight knit nucleus rather than, in a bull market when you have everybody in the world just jumping in just because they think it's a gold rush. So
yeah, it's all about having fun. I mean, I think while that we're in a bear market right now, I think a lot of us are still finding ways to have fun, whether it's with the communities we associate with, whether it's the events we go to or the art we make. We're still all very lucky to be in this ecosystem that never existed before, that is kind of cultivating artists right now.
Hell yeah. And I like that you bring up the word fun. I think that, with some of the accolades that you've attained this far, I think a lot of people can do that and take themselves very seriously. And I think you in particular bring fun into everything you do, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try not to be too pretentious. Especially the art world tends to take things very seriously and a lot of pretension. But I don't know, sometimes you have to take a step back and remember that we're all kind of sitting at our computers having fun and making memes and jokes. And, we don't have to follow in the footsteps of the people that came before us. We can cultivate a new identity that's just as valid.
Absolutely, man. And I know we'll be kicking it at your show this week, so that sounds like an opportunity for more fun. And we'll talk about it more in a bit, but do want to plug it. If you are in New York on Friday, Brian has a solo digital and physical experience at the NFT gallery. So definitely come by and check that out. But I see Pia clapping as well. Pia, you were laughing before at some of the fun comments.
Pia has fun at the events. I saw her at a lot of the NFT events earlier this year. It was great.
Pia, are you in New York?
I wish. My soul is definitely. Brian knows.
You were here for a while though. You were here for like a month or two, right?
Yeah, I did. I went there I actually end up burning a couple tickets, and I just I'm not gonna leave. I like it too much. I went there like a couple weeks ago before the NFT NYC event. That's how I had the chance to meet many of the artists over there and build like connections, friendships. On top of that, with the NFC and the afterwards that I stayed for like 2 months, I think. I did the same thing in Miami as well. It was like there was something just like very freeing to be in both in Miami and NFT NYC, and I was so inspired by like all of the people that I was meeting. I just couldn't laugh that easy. But yeah, I miss you guys so much.
Yeah. Hopefully there'll be another excuse to come out here soon.
Yeah, I know. I will very soon. Hopefully, for Miami, I'm planning to stay a little bit longer.
Nice. I'm planning on going to Miami, so I'll see you there.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Parties at Art Basel in Miami upcoming. Kia and Brian headlining.
Yeah.
I mean,
Molly
some
Put us
freestyling.
on the list.
art, some art and some fun. Nothing can go wrong.
Hell
Never.
yeah. But we got Malls up too. Malls, love your peacetime machine. We've done some cool stuff running around the city with it that I don't know if anybody's seen that yet. So excited for that to, show itself when it does. But let's talk about Time Machine Malls. I know you had like a process on coming up with a name. How did you land on that name, Time Machine?
I don't know, man. I think that it hit me like 2 weeks after the piece was done, and I think it's really like the word machine that gets me, because I just think a lot about that stuff. I just kind of like zone out and think a lot about that stuff a lot. So I just thought of it and I was like, yeah, it's gonna stick, and that's really it. Like, there's nothing much more to it than that. And yeah, this piece has been on so many trips and journeys in New York, like from the event on the beach and the train ride there and back, and like walking around Central Park, and like, it kind of is a time machine. It's really been all over the place, so it's kind of just telling its own story. But dang, now I'm actually thinking a lot about Miami and how I can't wait to go there, and how much FOMO I have from being out of New York. I just got back to Ohio like really late last night, so I'm still like, adjusting to Ohio, and I miss New York, man. It's so much fun.
You've been gone for 24 hours, Molly.
Less than 24 hours. I know, but I just love it there, man. Like, I don't know. Time moves differently in New York. Like, that's one thing I've learned since I've been there for like 2 months. It just operates differently there.
Definitely.
What do you mean by that? It
do you
goes
wanna take
faster or slower?
I have that. I wanted to ask that too, but wanted to take a quick second to just remind everybody to reshare that pinned tweet, our first tweet at the top, and also catch us on the YouTube live stream. We are live on video, so come check out these pretty faces. But back to Brian's question: do you feel like New York is faster or slower, Moles?
Definitely faster. But I also feel like that's how my brain works. And so when I got to New York and I touched down in New York, I just felt like I was finally like around people that were moving the same pace as me, like when it comes to just like ideas and then making them happen, or like, the process in between. And just like the everydays. So it moves faster, but to me, I think it made me realize how slow other parts of the world really move. Like, I'm here in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, right now, and like this is where I grew up, and I'm just like, wow. I'm still operating, like I'm still doing my day and operating like I am in New York, because I just have a lot to do and keep up with, and I'm just realizing like, wow, time moves differently, compared to other places.
I'm excited for you to come back because I feel like you're gonna have like just so much like juice and cabin fever. Like when you get back, you're gonna be hot.
Maybe. I mean, I kind of feel like when I was in Marfa for a couple days and then I got back to New York, I felt like somebody lit a fire under my ass. And I don't even know why. I just feel like that. So I think it's also just like traveling and like switching up your environments. Like, that's the number one thing that influences me, like, and just my inspiration in general, like, especially creatively. So, I think that factors into it.
Like that. And we didn't touch on the actual piece. We touched on the name. But was there an environment switch before creating Time Machine, or just in general, do you want to take us through that creative process?
Actually, yeah. So I had the shade. How do I describe this? Like, really, that piece is like more about showing depth perception, like with shading. And I actually had like the architecture of I had like the line work done that, eventually got taken over by the shading and stuff of that piece. And I made that like months ago. Like, I made it in Atlanta, like probably like 5 or 6 months ago, because I just like had this really clear vision in my head of like how something was moving related to time. And that's why the piece, regardless, was gonna have something to do with time. But so I was able to get that form out and with just the lines, like be able to see it. And then I didn't really touch it again for months because I didn't really know exactly how I was gonna move forward with it besides some of the shading. So yeah, I mean the piece itself, I guess it kind of like started months ago, you know. It was sometimes you start a sketch and you're just like you don't really know what it is, and then you pick it back up, you see it again after months of different experiences, and you suddenly have a perspective on it. And I think that that's what happened with this piece.
I think the exploration of depth in there is absolutely absurd. Going through the piece, and I didn't even pin the piece up, but I will pin it up now. AOTM. But yeah, I think there's like a couple of different details in it that I think correlate with the name well, like the Roman numerals and the I. What prompted you to include the I in there?
I don't know. I'm somebody that tries to like I still look at this piece and sometimes get upset because I'm like, I don't know. There's like many things that I did in this piece that are very different from anything anything else I've done. Like it's kind of clear what you're looking at as far as two of the subjects go, which is like the eyeball and then the Roman numerals. And I don't think that I'm somebody that generally tries to depict things that are obvious. So I don't know, for some reason it just kind of upsets me, but I was drawn to do that in this piece. I was just drawn to do it. I don't know. I felt like it had to be a minimalist piece for sure, you know, because the movement and the shading is the most intricate part of it. But then I think that putting something very simple on top of it kind of told its story a little bit deeper. And so I guess that's just what that was. That just filled that void a little bit, but it just kind of happened.
I think movement's a big word that comes to mind when I look at your work too. I feel like that's a recurring motif almost with like the fish that I've seen.
Yeah.
It seems to be something that you capture very well.
I think I'm just a very moving like not like that, like figuratively, but I literally can't sit down. Like I'm like ADHD kind of like I literally I didn't mean that figuratively, but you know, whatever. Like I just am always moving. Like I can't sit down, man. Like even when I'm creating, I'm just like up. Like I'm just like standing and I'm like I think that that's why I could never just create on a computer like digitally because I can't sit still. Like you know, I can't do it.
I
So
hear
yeah,
that.
everything's moving all the time.
You are always running around the office, so I can definitely see it. But P, I saw you cracking up at that too. Do you relate to that a little bit in the not being able to sit still?
Yo, yeah, actually, like, I'm like that too. Severe ADHD. I am hyperactive in person, so that's why I've been kind of like liking and enjoying this torture of time changes and time zone differences, and all this adventure that comes along with the traveling. And it's so funny because like I actually went to digital because I can't stand up, and paint something. So I just like bought my first iPad when I was in still working in the film industry, and I had zero time for me. So it's just like funny how opposite, but how similar the journeys can be. With you know, um, and my like actually my hand goes like this. I kind of like that. I feel like you're just like up there. But anyways, yeah, it's just like it was for me. Digital art was like much easier for me to do produce while I was traveling or being active, whatever you want to say. It just like helped me in a way to produce when I'm on the run. So I just like that connection and was thinking about it. That's it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. When are you gonna come back to New York?
I need to. I know it's calling me, but I don't know when.
Let's go. You love jet lag, so I feel like you can definitely take a trip out.
Yeah, I need to like I need some time too. I think just I've been traveling a lot. I was about to come to Marfa actually. I really wanted to make it there, but I had some crazy stuff happening to me in the airport with the investigation. So I was like, maybe Austin was enough, and I shouldn't just need to go back and lay down a little bit, and we'll see you guys in Miami, and we'll see what happens after that. You know.
What were you? I lived in Austin for a bit. What part of Austin were you in?
Oh, we were like, I'm not from Austin. I'm from Turkey, actually. Currently, I'm in Istanbul.
Mhm.
So we were in Austin after Korean Blockchain Week. We just like fly to Austin, from LA to Austin, and I was there for a week to do the permissionless too. We were at the what's the central building that's called their convention center, I think. Yeah.
Oh, where consensus is. I
Yeah,
don't
exactly. The same place. So we were there, and then I actually did landed in New York, and I thought about running away from airport, but then I was like,
know.
I need to be responsible sometimes, so I'm just gonna take my ass back to my home for a
Yeah,
while.
you could have just DM'd like Brian, Molly, and I, and just been like, listen, can you guys like grab me, like pick me up for lunch?
I thought about this. I had like 1 hour of thought process before like landing, just like going to my plane to Turkey, and I'm like, girl, you already toured the whole world. Like I literally just like traveled around the world. So I just wanted to finish that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. What's one more stop on the journey? Screw it.
Yeah.
But I know there's another journey that we have currently sharing screen right now, choices and consequences. Can you take us through the journey of creating this?
Oh yeah. So my little figures that you're seeing in like next to the bigger ones, they are actually my alphabet. So in here, I created this piece in this 3 months, and I think during this whole like trips to New York and then to Lisbon and then back to Turkey and Korea and everything just made me a lot of times, what I love about traveling is like the reflections, like seeing those people around you, and those all of them are like some sort of my reflections of who I can be one day, right? So that's why I would always love to just surround myself with inspiring people that I love and trust and cherish and look up to at the same time, and respect. And I've been through a lot of like, I was exposed to a lot of different people that I was meeting, adventures and experiences. And I had a lot of time also like facing myself this summer. So for the first time, I actually did this very close figures facing each other, but not really touching but the hair. But figuratively, they're not touching each other, surrounded with my like broken alphabet. So this is my rebirth process of the choices that I did and the consequences that I experienced after them. And probably I think it could be also a better option to maybe have a show a tweet that I recently shared with my like a piece that I called Red. It's in Cosimo Medici's collection. It was one of my early mints and one of my very early artworks that I've done. Um, and I nor usually put the red as the main focus because that always kind of represented myself. And throughout this 4 year journey, because I remember exactly this one, I remember doing this artwork in like late 2019 and then painting digitally because finally I had that chance with iPad. So red was always me, but for the first time, I just took me out of the center of the canva, and I was like, I'm not going to be selfish anymore towards the figures I created. I'm going to let them take over the stage, if that makes sense. And then I created choices and consequences this year, and I think I closed another chapter with that catharsis almost that I've been through with that piece. So yeah, that's me.
I think there's like so many little details in choices and consequences though that like stand out to me. I think the alphabet. What if you didn't explain it already? Do you mind explaining like what that alphabet signifies to you?
Oh yeah, so if I created my own alphabet because I speak multi languages, and I always felt a little bit more comfortable in a language that I'm just learning. Like I love speaking English, for example. So language for me was always like this a tool to communicate. But then we, as artists, like how Brian, how Molly, and Harry, and other friends of ours, like reflects, we as artists, like we create our art to create our own visual languages in order to create this communication between the observer and I. So I was like, you know what, I can't, my language is not letting me anymore, because I'm suffering from politics, I'm suffering from censorship, and English, well, I love English, but there's still some emotions are like missing, because it's not a language that I was born into, but I learned how to. So then I'm like, okay, if no language makes me comfortable enough to like reflect who I am, then I'm going to create my own alphabet. And that's when I came up with those smaller figures taking all over my digital Canva, I may say. So in here, normally when I use bigger figures, I just use a little bit here and there for them to represent the primitive, like it's a reflection of communication, a sense of like primitive languages, like cave paintings, when we cannot like talk, like communicate, maybe talked or wrote something, we were trying to draw and we danced. So this is what I paint, inspired from the ancestors, if I spelled correctly. But
I got you. There's like so many tiny details in this that I want to like rabbit hole down. And I think the next one of them is the pointed limbs. Why the pointed limbs?
oh, so yeah, it's like I'm a costume designer. So I did the whole reason of the, especially actually people a lot of times they approach with Dali and surrealist ideas, but my intentions ever since I started drawing these figures were the concept of grotesque. Basically, grotesque means that any part of human anatomy being like if you play with it and make it a little bit cartoonish, a little bit like different silhouette wise, if you just like reshape it, that's like kind of grotesque. But it used in many understandings in the art world, of course. But how I took the concept of grotesque in one of this like costume design I did was, I was just doing this femme fatale figure, but it's like a whole other story I need to get into. So I'm going to be very smooth with it. So I just, as a costume designer, only thing I could do with the audience there, enable to speak with them, was basically shape to bring this actor into a shape of very sharp material, almost to make the audience understand how dangerous femme fatale she is. And ever since that project, that idea kind of stuck with me. So I started drawing this like elongated, interpreted like female bodies, and that became like one of my signatures. Of course, it's not only my signature, it's like many, like Camibus in the space, she also does that. Dali in history, there are so many like examples. So this is the way how I interpreted the whole journey. um, from one of my costume designs. It was for Mama Ubu character for Alfred Jerry's Papa Uburoi, sorry, in French, Uburoi play. So yeah, that's where the journey is coming from.
I
I
love
hope
that.
I made sense, by the way.
No, I was actually just going to compliment you guys. I was like, you guys are exceptional at like talking about your pieces. I think that's actually a hard skill to develop as an artist, to like talk about them in a way that the public understands them. I think you guys obviously understand them exceptionally well. So just like a quick compliment to all of you guys there. But you were talking about visual language before, and I think that somebody who does visual language very, very well is Harry Pack. So excited to jump over to Harry's piece in a second. I'm going to just change my screen quick. But Harry, before we get there, also wanted to ask everybody to share the pin tweet. If you could jump to the pin tweet, share that so we could get as much turnout for the wonderful group up here. Would appreciate it. And also check us out on YouTube. We are live on YouTube right now. Come see us kicking it. And also to like you guys in the group, feel free to like cut me off at any point. You guys can like jump in and talk about each other's pieces too. This is the real family like kickback right now. We're getting real comfortable. But yeah, Harry, excited to talk about Zionaya, man. I feel like your work is like, it's fun, it's loud, but it's also extremely profound at the same time. So we'll just throw it over you to wherever you want to start on this piece. I'll pin it up in a moment. But yeah, I guess take us through your thought process here, man.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words, Stephen. And I really enjoyed listening to all of the other artists as well. I really related to a lot of what everyone was saying, and what you said, Stephen, is true. You know, it takes time to cultivate the ability to talk about your art. You know, and I think that's because it takes time to attach to it and recognize yourself in it. You know, so you have to practice talking about it, and talking about it to other people is often the most beneficial way of doing that, because you get the external perspective from other people that turns the cogs in your mind and allows you to unlock the doors inside your art that you didn't even realize were there in the first place. You know, it's very, very self-reflective. And Zionaya for me is it's actually part of, I mean, I've been making art all my life, and I've sort of, the story has sort of unraveled itself to me over time. But it's part of a series which has only really come to light as to what it means recently. I could talk about it probably all week, but I can't, obviously. So I'll try and get as much in now as possible. And to start off, I went through this spiritual process about 6 years ago that allowed it. I had to sort of do an inventory of my life as part of a recovery process, and I found it so, you know, revealing of who I am. It blew my mind, and not long after that, I found these online rooms where people were talking about art, and I started inviting other people into my own room, and, you know, bringing their own piece of art with them. And I found the process so interesting, because I used to just make art and I'd whack it online and then I'd put it in a cupboard and forget about it. And having it in this, you know, online room with other people discussing it for the first time gave me the idea that maybe I should try and do a visual inventory of moments of my life. So I was sort of trying to reproduce childhood memories using the psychedelic aesthetic that I'd sort of developed over the years, and then putting it out there for people to, you know, pull apart. And I just found people seeing a lot of stuff in my art images that I hadn't meant to put in there. All sorts of things, you know, getting other people's perspectives. And I've always been interested in, I think, sort of otherworldly things, you know, other realms, different dimensions. And I see art as another dimension as well. You know, it's putting it onto a piece of paper or however it is that you create, and it's there in front of you to dissect in another reality almost. And a number of people had told me that my style had sort of reminded them of the Yellow Submarine. And I started to notice this purple UFO, which you can see at the top of the image. It kept appearing, and I hadn't really intended to put it there. And then I create a lot of these elf characters, and I'd been through a number of experiences where I had this overwhelming feeling that my life was being controlled by these this force or these beings, and I didn't know how to define what it was for a long time, until about 5 years ago I'd started playing around with geometry a lot, and these faces started to come through the geometry. And then one day this character appeared, and I had this overwhelming feeling that this is the character that's been guiding me through life. And I gave it a name, and I sort of tried to sort of work out what its personality was, and it kind of felt like it had guided me to give it a positive personality. You know, I've been sort of practicing these sort of spiritual things, you know, meditation, prayer, writing a gratitude list, things like that, and just trying to be more available for people. And then, you know, I decided to start creating more of the similar character. And as I was doing it, I really started to sort of integrate the spiritual toolkit that I've been developing into their characters, and trying to recognize, you know, the color language that was coming through that would help express what that is. So I really sort of hand it over to the elves. You know, I give them credit for my artwork instead of me. But the UFO comes from, has now developed into this story. It's called the Purple UFO. And each piece comes, I've been writing poetry for each piece. And basically there are these two characters called Zayanaya and Zawanduya. And they're like elf priests who live in this palace in the clouds, and the garden of the palace is cultivated by these elves. And they're just traveling around this strange planet, you know, discovering all these weird scenarios, which, you know, before I create the piece, I don't really know much about. It's through the conversation that I have with other people that it starts to come to light. And with this particular piece, Zayanaya is also the name of the car. And the reason I felt that it was most appropriate for ephemeral visions was because, you know, I actually had to look up the word ephemeral. I hadn't even used it or heard it before, but it just seemed perfectly suited because the car is kind of a relic. It's from a previous lifetime. So Zawanduya and Zayanaya, the elf priests are, and elf priestess, are lovers, cosmic lovers. And the car was left there by Zawanduya in a previous life. And he expressed his love for Zayanaya to the point that he'd leave as many clues to their love in the previous life that they'd find each other in this life. So it's kind of reflective on, you know, momentary things, you know, things like life doesn't, you know, go on forever. Maybe there are lives after these lives. And the strange plants that you see in the background and the foreground, I tend to use them a lot because they kind of represent the sort of the garden that grows, you know, people planting seeds in their garden. There's a famous Ken Kesey quote that says, people think they've found the answer, so they stop looking. And the trick to life is to keep planting these strange plants in your garden, and to continue seeking, and to continue evoking mystery. So I've got one of these robotic tables that just goes up and down when I accidentally hit the button. So, you know, the plants kind of have that, give off that feeling of, you know, it kind of brings this sort of question, you know, what goes beyond the parameter of the image. And that's what I really enjoy the most, is when I take someone into the image and ask them what they see. I then hear their response, and then I ask them what they see beyond the parameters of the image. And it's this like ongoing loop of hearing somebody else's imagination and then sharing that experience with them. And, you know, I think that's what all artists do in their own hieroglyphic way. So there's a lot to it. And what speaking to people about this has done to me more than anything is it's allowed me to connect the dots between each art piece. So all of my art is one big story now. It's all intertwined. It's my vessel for life. And it's, you know, it's been a beautiful experience. I've been connected to some of the biggest psychedelic research organizations in the world, and I'm doing some projects with them. And my goal is to, well, my dream is to raise funds and awareness on that, so that I can eventually build my own psychedelic art gallery and healing center somewhere over here, and continue to make, you know, this story spread out into wherever it is that it wants to go. So it's for me, it's quite a poignant name for an exhibition for this piece for me anyway. And it's a vessel as well, so I kind of felt like it fit in nicely. And yeah, so that's what it means. And again, I'm explaining what it means to me, and it's always nice to hear what other people see in it too. So that's the practice. I kind of feel like what Pia was saying about the language and the alphabet that she creates. I really resonated with that, because I had this conversation with a friend in Miami a couple of years ago, where we were talking about this visual language that appears to people when they're in altered states of consciousness. It's almost like the language of the universe, but you have to be in an altered state, whether that's through psychedelics or meditation or whatever it is. Your soul seems to understand what that language is, more so than your current state, if you know what I mean. So, I see art as a real portal. It opens and it makes so many questions, and it unlocks so many doors that I just find it so fascinating. I can't really sort of explain how lucky I feel to be an artist with an ongoing practice that has revealed so much to me at this stage in my life. It's exciting to think about what it will continue to reveal moving forwards. So
absolutely, man, dude, thank you so much for sharing like everything there. I wanted to also just call out like your voice is literally like, dude, it's like hypnotic. It's like it puts you in a trance. You have an awesome voice, dude. You could do like movies if you wanted to.
Yeah, maybe.
Pia, I saw you jump off mute. Pia, any additional thoughts?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say I share the same feelings as well when you speak, because like the consciousness points. I'm really new with like psychedelics, and ever since like I got into that world, I'm really enjoying it. And we were discussing also this with like a couple of friends. That's why I love New York, because it's like kind of troubling in where I am from, but also like before everything, the consciousness state. So the alphabets is like, it's quite funny, right, that the concept of alphabets and how different they can be, but in the end they are serving the same thing, that we are like what. So I just like make a breakdown of the alphabets and the words and the letters, and letters becoming paragraphs, everything just like combines with each other there, but symbolically they are just like letters that we actually created. So when you look at them, you see actually 101 artworks of this letters, like A, B, C. A its own is like couple, like just lines and here and there, and that's like A. So we put a voice on that. And of course, in the consciousness, we just want to reflect an idea that we all share, a feeling that we all share. By that, building on top of each other, we create our alphabets. And I feel like every artist, their art is their own handcrafted alphabet, almost, maybe not an alphabet, but language, a way to describe who you are. And so I just dived directly to in that, and then I just did the alphabet, because when I can type with my fingers and everything, so I just make it. That's also like my conceptual background. It's just like my way of approaching this whole concept, and how much it inspires me. Like Brian, for example, said also, he mentioned a cycle in the crypto, but it's also like life, so it's his language of his interpretation of life itself. And so Molly, and so for you, so it's just beautiful to just share, to be on this experiences of very personal but also not very personal ideas, feelings, and whatsoever. It's the same ingredients, but this different receipts and recipes and soups. I love to combine food and alphabet and everything together when I just like talk, but we all enjoy to eat somehow, so, and cook. So I mean, bon appetit. I'm very happy to just let me wrap this once again. I'm very, very happy to taking part with amazing cooks Really honoring. That's how I'm gonna finish.
Yeah, you guys are some serious chefs, no lie. Um, but wait, Pia, are you dropping off, or was the cook thing just you?
No. I just
Yeah,
mic dropped.
okay.
I'm gonna be mute myself now.
Definitely don't feel to no need to mute. Like I feel like right now we could just kind of like have fun and chop it up. But yeah, on that universal language. So Harry, I have like 12 thoughts based on like everything that everybody's just discussed. The universal language made me think of a book called The Alchemist, where I feel like that's discussed, a classic book. I love it. I know a lot of other people do. And you also said something, Harry, that I think is literally going to be a quote that Zayanaya is going to be like writing on walls in the next life. And it is going to be, it was that something along the lines of you're hearing someone else's imagination and expressing it to them. I love that. And I think that that really, really does, communicate like our imaginations. We can all think similar thoughts, and it's hard to kind of communicate our thoughts to one another. So as an artist, hearing someone else's imagination and expressing it in a way that like we can all understand it, I think is just a tremendous thing to do. And I also think that's why I applauded you guys before on how you speak about your art, because it was something where I could really feel exactly what you were processing and going through. So love that. And then Pia, you brought up a cool point too, like about your alphabet and like the cycle that Brian described in his piece. And I think another thing that came to mind too was Molly's time machine. So, Molly, do you want to talk about video on Sunday or no? You're on mute.
Video.
There was just I was shocked at how the question that was repeated, so many people pretty much got it right.
Oh yeah, like asking people in the park about what would you name this piece?
Mhm.
Yeah, everybody had something. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people had something to do with time.
So I guess give them the background though on like what what the question
Okay.
was and like what the whole.
Yeah. So okay. So Steven and I went to Central Park on Sunday evening, and when the sun was setting, we just walked around with this piece. We were getting some pictures. We were getting some video, and there was a lot of people there, and we would just ask strangers like what they would name the piece, and it was really interesting. Just like I don't know, it was really interesting to like put people on the spot almost of like, what would you name this? Because titling artwork is like such a weird thing to do. Like I feel like everybody has a different process of how they title their artworks, but ultimately like giving a piece of art, which is a whole experience that you put out onto a canvas or whatever, is like it's like kind of like defining it a little bit. And yeah, everybody had something to do with time. I mean, not everybody, but most people. Nobody said machine though.
I think one person actually got it right. Like
Really?
early on, yeah, I feel like one person said time machine, and then somebody else said passing time, which I think was like another name that maybe you thought of or liked a lot.
Yeah, I know somebody said passing time, which was originally like what I was thinking about titling this piece, but then I was like, nah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, somebody said fluid time, and I really liked that because fluid is a certain type of movement that I relate to a lot, and I don't know. There were some people that were like scared of the piece, and I was like, whoa. Oh shit! Wait.
There is like an Inception-esque like feeling that I think it can create. But yeah, I thought it was just wildly interesting on how I would say over 50% of people like guess something related to time. And I think it touches on that universal language, on us just being able to understand instantly how art is an expression of that language and how we can all kind of communicate in ways that are nonverbal. I also feel that being around artists in New York City, I've started to understand that language a little bit better, and it's freaky because it's like I feel like everybody can understand me without me speaking, and like I can understand other people without me speaking now, and it's kind of creeping me up.
It's magic. It is really, it's kind of weird, right? Like we think about something and just like we do it.
Yeah.
That's like absurd, actually. Like there's something in there, and then whatever there is just like whoop on the Canva. I'm like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of is like magic. I'm not even kidding at this point.
I think I'm interested. Do you guys feel like that's common for all of you, where it's like you have that like emotion or idea and you immediately have to like do it in the moment, or is it like let me like think this idea through and like see what I really want to create? Oh wait, we got two Mollies now.
Oh wow. The other one went into like a scary mode.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the other one.
Sorry. The other one, my computer froze.
Oh, good. But it's funny because it was like I thought you came on as Mac, and it was like a different alter ego.
It is. This is a different me. I'm a completely different person now under this name.
This alter ego dunks on people.
Yes.
Yeah, I was throwing a question out. Do you guys feel that like you guys have that emotion, and Pia was saying that it's like, you have an idea and it's like she immediately has to throw it down. Do you guys feel like that's common across all you guys, or do you guys have to like mull those ideas over sometimes and like process them to really get it right?
It's funny because I've spoken to a few people about who've had this experience, and I have too. It's where you create something that when you're younger, and your practice might not have developed enough for you to really sort of know what you're doing. But then when you get older, you look back at it and it makes a lot more sense, and it almost feels like the piece of art was made for when you got older. And I think that's quite an interesting look because you could say maybe you're tapping into something else. Maybe there's the muse that's guiding you, or maybe you're just entering another place while you're making it, where there is no timeline. So I mean, Molly's piece is potentially a time machine, but it's there are some people who are action then theory, and then there are others that are theory then action. And then you don't have to be one or the other. You can be both, but depending on where you're at in the day. But it's like, going back to what I think Brian was saying earlier about, the artwork, and it's good to have individuals doing their own thing and being themselves in what can sometimes be, quite a sort of, not you place to be. Someone said to me years ago, you're a product of your own experiences in life, so you represent all of the things that you did and the people that you met and the places that you went. So what control do you have other than just to sort of open yourself up to reality and let reality take over, and how much of a part do you have to play in that? So it's quite a big question,
Yeah. So the question is, when you have an idea, do you put it down right away?
Yeah.
Right. I think sometimes I'll start sketching, but that doesn't mean that's where.
Is your Twitter space? Is your phone like throwing audio out? If you could lower it, or just like I don't know.
I don't think it.
Somewhere.
It might not be. Does it still sound bad?
No, you're good now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think the idea usually is the starting point, and then the creative process dictates the route you take. And sometimes it ends up being where you think, and sometimes it doesn't. But usually you just have to follow where your inspiration goes and where you creatively feel like you're having a good time. Sometimes you get stuck in a corner trying to fit a shape into the wrong size hole or something, and it's not working, you have to kind of just step away from it and then realize that maybe there's something there that works some way else. And so, yeah, I don't know. Very rarely have I had an idea where I'm like, this is it, I got to make it, and it's done in a day or two. Usually it's a process of like doing a little bit, sitting on it for a little bit, seeing if it resonates. Because yeah, sometimes you'll make something really quickly, and then the next day you're like, oh wait, no, that's not what I wanted at all. So I think, yeah, it goes back to this idea of time. It takes time for these ideas to kind of fully form. This one for AOTM I think I had the initial concept of it months ago, and I like did a quick sketch of it, and then I questioned how technically I was going to do it to a degree that slowed me down. I was like, am I going to model this in 3D? Am I going to make it an AR toy? Am I going to, and then eventually I landed on, I'm going to do it hand-drawn painterly style with animation. And then it was like, okay, and then you go through this technical process of how to do it. And then during that, new creative ideas kind of come about how you're going to build it. And so, yeah, it's always kind of a free form evolution.
Brian, I feel like you experiment a lot when you're creating pieces. I feel like there's this cool part about your personality where it's just like very open to exploration, almost like nonchalant in a sense. It's like, fuck it, why not?
Yeah, I like to experiment, and I also like to create with tools that allow for randomness. And so whether that's generative stuff or just randomizing, I like being surprised in the process. It gets kind of boring when you know the whole route from A to Z. And so if you can throw some like curveballs in there, it's fun. And if you can throw in some new tools that you haven't learned that you can like continue to kind of enrich your mind and tool set, it becomes a more fulfilling process because you feel like you've improved yourself by the end of it.
Hell yeah, man. I feel like we're getting deep on this space. Whew, I can write a book after this, guys. No, we are a bit over time, so we'll probably start wrapping up shortly, but wanted to give you guys a moment to just share any additional thoughts on each other's pieces, on the gallery, or on just AOTM and this whole process that you guys have been going through in terms of just like preparing for this and like finally being at auction day. Any additional thoughts around the room?
I just want to say, like, I'm really gonna be very short on this. I'm really just gonna say, like, it's so important for me to listen and share our processes. I cherish this so much. So first of all, I want to thank Stephen for like gathering all of us together. And I want to thank you, my friends. Both I got the chance to meet in real life and hopefully will do. And thank you for sharing your processes. I'm a huge fan of each one of you, and it's such an honor to having this whole drop with you guys. Yeah, I just want to show my gratitude and appreciation. Thank you, everyone who is listening down there. Appreciate you too, and thank you for everything.
Hell yeah. I do feel like we kind of just jumped into like 4 different worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, same. Also the AOTM team as well, because that's the reason why we are literally happy, and I'm so freaking proud of this. So I'm gonna go out now, by the way, because like I will be offline. But much love to all of you, everyone. It's so nice to share this space with you. So goodbye from me.
What does that mean, Pia? We're never gonna see
I'm
you
gonna
again?
wrap a little bit early than everyone. That's what it means.
No, we're wrapped up now too.
Enjoy
I've
the
been
evening.
renting this laptop from a friend, and she needs to use it now, so I gotta give it to her back to her. It's
No
crazy.
worries at all. But thank you for jumping on, and your piece is exceptional. Everybody, go check out Pia on AOTM Gallery right now.
Yeah, I should also say the AOTM built a really awesome virtual gallery for this show on Cyber, and all 3 other artists on the stage have pieces that are extremely dense with details and deserve to be viewed as large as possible, in my opinion. And so if you have a VR headset, go look at the gallery in VR and like really look at all the details in this thing, or blow it up on a big screen. It's a disservice, unfortunately, to like look at these on this YouTube stream or something, because these pieces are dense with detail and worthy of kind of diving around.
100% agree on that. Just pin that tweet up to the Twitter space, actually. So definitely go have a look there. But yeah, Pia, I know you have to run, so feel free to jump off whenever. And we'll kick it to Harry. Any last words or like closing thoughts, Harry?
No, I mean, I'm just very grateful to be here as well. It's a pleasure to meet Brian, Molly, and Pia, and yourself, Stephen. Feel very fortunate to be in this exhibition. It's another opportunity to, you know, any opportunity to practice talking about what I'm doing to other people and then hearing their processes back is just pure education for me. So I feel very lucky for that. And again, yeah, anybody, I mean, I could repeat what Brian said word for word. Just go and look into the other artists, look into their practices, find out about them, you know, investigate what other people are doing. That's really helped me, you know. So yeah, it's just really glad to be here, and thank you so much for the invite, Stephen. You're a fantastic host.
Thank you, man. But hey, I'm disappointed that I can't catch your physical show this week, just because I feel like the experience that you're going to create around your work is going to be ridiculous. I could only imagine, but you'll express the imagination for me as you do.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, I'll take some footage and put it online. So
hell yeah, definitely keep us posted on it.
Yeah.
And Mac, any closing thoughts?
Just that it's wonderful. Like this has been a wonderful experience. Meeting you guys. Some of you guys, Harry, I don't know if I'd seen your work before this curation. So, you know, Brian, I want to say that I have, but still, this allowed me to deep dive into each one of these artists and just look at them as my teammates. And, you know, that's something I'm really grateful for. It's something I look forward to in life. And, you know, this is an exciting process. It's really just the beginning. Like, you know, I see this as an opportunity for, you know, a team of artists to really bring some energy to the space. And in the midst of like this bear market that we're all kind of like, you know, one way or another, we're all kind of affected by it. Even if we don't really let it affect us that much, but this has been a wonderful experience, and I'm super grateful. And it was wonderful to hear more about each of your pieces and process, and as well as Pia. And yeah, I have to bounce too, but catch me around. I'll be in the DMs or something. So anyways, guys, thanks again, Stephen.
Wait, Molly, before you go, do you remember like Mies on the Wii?
Do I remember what?
Like Mies, like MII, like on the Wii, the characters on the Wii.
Yeah, I do. And those things were crazy. You could create those however you wanted.
Your head like bobbing in the dark right now. Like we can't see your neck because it's dark. Your head like bobbing in the dark just reminds me of a me.
Yeah, I know. I need to go get some sunlight. But yeah, sorry about the dark room. Anyways.
No worries at all. But yeah, thanks for jumping on, Moz. I know if you gotta drop, you gotta drop. But Brian, last one, man. Any closing thoughts for us before we wrap up?
Oh, you got another closing thought? No, I'll just say thanks for having me, and everyone should go check out all the drops. You got plenty of time. There's like 40 hours left in the auctions. And if you're in the New York area, come to my gallery show in the Lower East Side on Friday. It's free, and there's going to be fun freebies and drinks, and it's from 5 to midnight, so it's very flexible. I look forward to seeing all y'all.
Hell yeah, no, that's going to be a blast. So definitely looking forward to that this week. Want to just thank all of you guys for jumping on and sharing your stories, as well as like the stories behind your pieces. As I said before, I think you guys did an exceptional job of that. So really appreciate you going as in detail as you did. Also want to shout out AOTM for putting this all together. An exceptional group of artists that AOTM curated. I believe it was Vince Van Doe, actually. So shout out to him. And if not, then I fucked up. Sorry, guys.
There was a lot of people involved. Vince, Casey, Giga, and one other guy. But yeah, everybody at the AOTM team doing awesome work.
Yeah, exceptional collection that was curated by you guys. And also want to shout out some just like the rest of the artists that are there as well. Some other friends from the area, Laura L, Ben Scar, Alec. So check out their work as well as the rest of the artists in that collection, just because all around it's like it's very diverse, but I think every artwork definitely hits home in that. So want to encourage everybody to jump in the digital gallery and have a good time.
Yes.
But
Pablo was the fourth. Sorry, I want to get that in there. I don't want to mess it up.
Pablo.
Yeah, thank you, Pablo.
So shouts out to the group and thanks everybody for jumping on. Definitely follow all of these artists on X. You can find them in the pin tweet above, and also subscribe to Eminent on YouTube if you had fun. If you didn't, then like don't subscribe. You don't have to. As well as our newsletter. So we'll catch everybody on the next one, and thanks guys.
Thanks.
We did it.
Guys, I'm going to have to hit the sack because I've got an early start to set this exhibition up for